Howdy mates, here's the second video for today. So I decided to basically break up this segment into two separate videos just because I knew it was going to be too long. So as I was just mentioning about the Miller's home, they still live there, Terry and Julie Clark, and they are some of the individuals who were very responsible for providing renovation to the Bears Mill. And the Bears Mill is actually one of the only remaining grist mills that is still in operation. This was actually built back in 1849, so this is pre-Civil War, so it's got some age to it. And you may be wondering, like, what is the siding on it? That is actually built completely out of black walnut, which makes sense because I did notice, walking on that path just a moment ago, I did get to see some black walnut. And usually it's very rare to see black walnut because it's very expensive and it's slightly more difficult to work with. But this is where the Millrace meets up with the mill itself. And what's neat too is the turbines. I mean, you can't really see them right now just because the water is quite high at the moment, but they use Leffel turbines. And what's neat is Leffel turbines, those were actually made in the city of Springfield, as a matter of fact. What was cool was I actually did a video way back in, I believe it was January. I was visiting the Heritage Center in Springfield, and they were talking about the Leffel company that specialized in building turbines. And so you figure these turbines, that's what provides electricity to the building and even allows the operation of the mill to be possible too, because they actually use something called burr stones. And same thing, they're one of the only mills that still even use them. But I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, here it is. It tells you a bit more about the Millrace. Yeah, it's a highly recommended spot, mates, considering that this is also a National Historic Landmark, and this was also recently enacted to be part of Darke County Parks, too. So it's also a designated county park as well, which to me is fantastic, because to be honest, that should have been done a long time ago. But that's just my opinion, of course. But here, as we see, those are the burr stones. And the story has it that Gabriel Bear believed that he was like one of the first owners. That's actually what the Bears Mill is named after. He actually traveled all the way to France back in the 1800s. And you figure back then, traveling that much of a distance, for that journey, it probably would have taken about 2 years or so, because you had to figure it was only horse and carriage back then, and they would have had to go by probably steamboat at the time, and that took a while. So yeah, usually the whole embarkment would take about 2 years. Crazy. Whereas now, we could be there within a day. I mean, isn't that just remarkable? Just how travel has really changed within the past couple of hundred years. Very quickly, too. Unfortunately, they're not open today. in particular. Surprisingly, I didn't know the updated hours because they changed once again, but they're practically open every other day except today. But hey, what can you do? But yeah, this mill is actually, so we're gonna get on the other side of the street, look both ways. Oh yeah, those of you who do bring children, of course, look both ways when you cross a road, right? That's a given. But here, you can actually see the architecture of the mill. And most mills built during this time, a lot of them have a similar architecture. Even Clifton Mill has a similar shape. So does, I forget the name of the mill, but it's a bed and breakfast that's found near Yellow Springs as well. So most mills at the time were about 4 stories. And what was neat was you actually see that rope right there. So during the time in the 1800s, even the early 1900s, you know, on horse and carriage, grain would be brought here, and they would have to lift it, you know, with that rope all the way to the top floor, and then it would trickle its way down. And as part of it, these burr stones, they were used for grinding purposes, so that the corn or grain, whatever was, you know, whatever was collected, it would be grinded so that it would have a fine texture, so that it could be used for practically anything regarding meals. But yeah, completely water powered. Truly remarkable, because water is renewable and it honestly saves a lot of money too. But yeah, this is one of the only remaining operating mills found in Ohio. So, as I was saying, this is indeed, because there actually is a sign right up here that tells you that this is a National Historic Site. Yeah, and that's a recent sign too, because they haven't been part of Darke County Parks for, I think they've only been a part of them for a few months. But at one point, the Bears Mill was once its own entity. And here's the other side, so that water is passing through. And for those of you who might have a question, you know, regarding the electricity, they use direct current, which is very old-fashioned. It does not use any alternating current. But yeah, the Bears Mill. It's alright. I thought I would share that with you guys. I hope you learned something in the video. A lot of nostalgia here, actually. And the nice thing is, when it actually is open, you actually get to take a little tour, and you basically get to learn about the history of the mill, like how many times it's changed hands, and it actually shows you the process of how they, you know, do the grinding and whatnot, what machinery they use. Because now there actually are some millers that work here, that actually provide demonstrations. And that's part of the Darke County Parks aspect. So it's really cool what's going on here. So shout out actually goes to the Darke County Parks. So hope this video finds you well, mates. So alright, hope you all enjoy your Monday. And once again, Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks.